You hear us?
I sure can.
Perfect. All right, guys, we have Coach Phil Snow here to answer questions you guys have for him. So let's go to Jonathan for the first question.
Hey, Phil, hope you're doing well.
Yep.
I assume Sam Franklin will be playing a lot more than he has recently, given Justin Burris is out. What does he do well that adds to your defense, and what are you in particular expecting him to do?
Well, Sam has good size for safety and a lot of energy. He runs well. So, I think he adds a lot. Obviously he hasn't played a lot yet, but, I think Sam will do just fine out there.
All right, we'll go to Mike Solarte and then Miles Simmons.
Hey, Coach, good to see you again. The Saints, obviously, with Breeze at quarterback and Kamara and their wide receivers, as a defensive coordinator, where does it start? Where do you start breaking these guys down?
They've been together a long time too. So, they have all the pieces, and their offensive line really works well together, and they're physical in the run game. So, you talk about their passing game, but I think the offense really is generated from the run game. So, they're a two-headed monster. If you don't stop the run, you don't stop the offense. So, we all know how good they've been over the years, and they're continuing to do that now. They score a lot of points.
Hey, Phil, how are you feeling about your cornerbacks rotation right now? And what have you seen from Troy Pride, especially in the last few weeks, that gives you confidence?
Well, Troy's gone in there and played well. So, we're kind of doing it by committee. Who's up that week? We've had some unfortunate things in the corner room. And so, like Dante got hurt right away, a couple weeks ago. So Troy was thrown in there. And so it's kind of been that way all season, and the guys have stepped up. So, which is good because more guys are playing, and, hopefully Eli we can get him going. And so I think that room by the end of the year has a chance to be pretty good.
Let's go to Scott Fowler and then Skylar Callahan.
Hey, Phil, thanks for doing this. I want to ask you about two of your young players, Brian Burns and Derrick Brown. I just wonder where you think they are right now, and particularly what each needs to do to take the next step that you would want them to take.
I think Brian. I think we're going to see a big change in productivity over the next 5 or 6 games with Brian. I think he's really learning his position and how his physical capabilities work in the defense that he's running. And I expect him over the next 5 to 6 weeks to really grow. He has a lot of ability, and we've asked him to do more than just one position. So I think he's coming into his own with everything. And I think you're going to see in productivity a big jump with him. He's playing a lot harder the last 2 weeks, which I'm excited about because, he's so, he's big and fast. And if he plays fast, that adds a lot to what we do. And Derrick is new at this, being a rookie, but each week, I think he's, I think you're going to see a jump in his productivity over the next 5 weeks too. Just with his violence coming off the ball, he's starting to see what it takes to win, in the NFL. And he's starting to do it a little bit better each week.
Hey, Phil, it seems like every week that Rasul Douglas always comes up with a big third down pass breakup, or he makes a nice play on the ball, maybe even twice a game. He seems to be taking that next step. Where do you think he is in terms of, just where he is with his defense? And do you think he could get back to being the type of corner that he was back in college, where he led the nation in interceptions?
Well, Rasul's played on, a pretty good football team in Philadelphia and played. He's a good football player. Really understands the game. He's got good size. Really enjoys competing on the field. Not nervous a bit about anybody he competes against. So I really enjoy being around him. It's fun. When you're on the sideline with somebody that is really comfortable with themselves and knows what he can and can't do, they're fun to be around. So, I think, based on how many opportunities he gets, he can come down with the football. So, Yeah, I'm happy he's on a football team.
And let's go to David Newton and then Josh Sims.
Hey, Phil, appreciate you being here today. You've known Matt a long time, and I know I talked to you about him a few weeks ago, but this is more specific on him. What makes him unique as a head coach in the NFL that you see him doing that maybe other NFL coaches you haven't?
You know, the one thing that Matt has always done, he's really personable with the players and really gets to know them. I'm not sure in the NFL, the head coaches spend a lot of time with the guys like they do in college. But Matt does that. He really gets to know these NFL players. And because of that, the better we know each other, the more things we're going to do for each other. And so in the way we treat each other, and he treats people with respect and really he wants your opinion, and it doesn't matter who you are. So I think they respect all that. But I think that's what makes Matt unique.
And what about the physicality of his practices? I know Wednesday practices in particular are pretty physical out there. A lot of NFL teams tend to back off once the season goes along. How has that been different from what you've been a part of?
Well, when I was in the NFL before, after about, I was involved with the Bill Walsh system, and after 8 weeks, we weren't in pads anymore. That was what they believed. And so, but, Matt doesn't believe in that. He thinks iron sharpens iron, and you need 1 day a week of physicality. Otherwise you're going to lose it. And I'm totally in agreement with that. So, now we have to be smart to a 16-game schedule too, and he will. I think what happens to all of us is we can get soft, all of us, without the physicality. And that's what he tries not to let happen.
Thanks.
Bill, when the Saints bring Taysom Hill into the game, what kind of a threat is he, and how does he change what you guys will have to do defensively, especially when they bring him in on the goal line?
Well, you really got to know when he's in the football game, because he lines up in so many different positions. I mean, we spent an hour trying to figure out what position we're going to call him. Is he a tight end, a running back? What is he? So he just creates a lot of problems because he can line up anywhere. He lines up in the backfield. He lines up at quarterback. He lines up as a tight end. He lines up as a wide receiver. So he creates a lot of problems. And with that, you have 13 on the field. Thomas, you have, Kamara. So there's a lot of guys when he's on the field that you have to be aware of. And so it creates a lot of problems for you defensively.
All right, let's go to Jason Huber and then Josh Graham.
Hey, Phil, I know we've asked a lot about him, the last few weeks, but one thing that stood out that Matt Rule mentioned about Jeremy Chin was just for being such a young guy, and to hear Whitehead mention this too, how he's kind of been the tone setter for the defense. What kind of have you seen, what kind of have you seen from Chin with his age being so young and kind of having the impact that he's had so far? What can you kind of compare that to?
Well, Jeremy is one of those guys that, first of all, he's got a lot of pride. He's tough. He's smart, and he's eager to learn. And so with that, he also has a desire to play and strike you. So he has a lot of things that you look for in a football player, and a human being, period. And I've said this, I think, a couple of weeks ago. You can attribute a lot to the people that raised him, all right, and the people that have coached him over the last 6, 7, 8 years. I think they've done a terrific job parenting and coaching him. And so we're the beneficiary of it. So it's fun to be around him.
2 quick things. How much time do you devote during the week to the Taysom Hill package? And how does Derrick Brown's role change with KK out?
Well, you got to be ready. The big thing with Hill is when he's at quarterback, at the quarterback position, because he does, he can throw the football. So it creates a lot of problems. It's not really an imposter position. He's really a quarterback that's back there that has the ability to run the way he can. So, you have to be ready for that package, and especially on third down, because if you don't win third down against this football team, you have a hard time stopping them. They're based on third down, and they get in those short to intermediate downs on third down, and it allows him to get back there and have the run pass option at the quarterback position. So, but with KK gone, I don't think Derrick's role's any different. I just think Derrick is learning his role better in how he needs to and where he needs to develop to play at this level, and he's making progress with that. So, I'm anxious to watch him throughout the rest of the season.
Let's go to Joe Person and then Jonathan Alexander.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. Just wondering, Phil, if we might see Jeremy Chin back kind of more at strong safety this week with Justin out rather than the outside linebacker. And can you guys keep winning with the pass rush being what it is? I mean, did you need to see more productivity period out of that pass rush?
Jeremy, obviously he can play safety, and if we need to, he can. And one of the packages that we have, he does play safety. So, he's preparing to play a lot of different positions because of injury and things that are going on. Our pass rush is a little bit deceiving. I know the first 2 weeks we struggled rushing, but since the first 2 weeks, we have pressured the quarter. Like last week, we had 17 pressures, and which is a lot of pressures. We're just not coming home and sacking them. We missed 2 or 3 last week, and I think that's been happening over the last month. But our pressures have been good. Heck, 2 of the games we were in the 20s, which is excellent. So, but we do have to get more sacks. We're down. We only have 5 sacks, and the guys know that. So we're working hard at it.
Hey, Phil, I know you're a coach who likes to get to know your players. What do you think about Derrick Brown, the person?
Oh, he's great person. We all, and he's been really well, the way he's been raised by 2 parents, and they've done a terrific job. We have the players get up and talk about themselves in meetings, and he said, I don't really have that much to talk about because I've been raised. He really appreciates how he's been raised and the schools he's gone to and everything. And he's just a terrific, young man. And again, that goes back to mom and dad.
All right, guys, we only have time for one more. So let's go to Elena before we wrap it up.
Hey, Phil, I was just curious, last week against the Bears, the run defense, at least statistically, had one of its best games so far without KK. And I was curious what you thought worked well last week. Did anyone in particular stand out to you, and how do you keep that going in the weeks to come?
Well, it was a point of emphasis based on the game before. We'd given up 166 yards rushing. So, we really emphasized it, and not that we hadn't, but I think the guys really honed in and started to really, look at staying in their gap, being tough and physical and disciplined, and hopefully it continues. We've spent a lot of time at it, and we're continuing to. It's like any offense. If you don't stop the run and make them one-dimensional, you have a hard time stopping them. So it's an issue every week, and we need to continue to play like we did against Chicago.
All right, Coach, we appreciate you stopping by.
You bet. Thank you, guys.